our young entrepreneurs here have gone through a couple levels, I'll say, of customer discovery, several sets of just interviews, and have done 1 or 2 sets of surveying. We really haven't discussed that since those assignments were made. But our concern there was, would they be able to reach a big enough audience to have a what's the word, not certified, but recognized level of confidence in the results. So Travis here, background is in marketing and these types of things, so I think the timing is going to be excellent. So I'll ask you to take notes, because we may have some homework around this. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet.
The notes are in the slides, so if you want to get that barcode and grab the slides, that's going to be the easiest way, and then you can even bookmark it for an app, for quick reference on your phone. You can just tap it and log in if that helps. But this is essentially the presentation that I did for the American Marketing Association that I worked on in last spring, I believe. But as we go through, here's a little bit on my background. My specialty is in marketing design and technology corporate solutions. What's that mean? It's a big fancy way of telling people that the content that they put out there, and when I say content, that's even your texting, your messaging, your touch points. And that's what we're going to go through, from customer funnel development, telling your brand story, lead generation, media marketing design, social media, custom websites, mobile apps. So that is my background in a nutshell. And if you have the slides, that link is active to read my bulleted bio.
Excuse me, I'll just introduce everyone very briefly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Braden, he is working on a venture of, is it temporary, what's the right word?
Yeah, like magnetic curtains, yeah.
Magnetic curtains.
Magnetic curtains,
Yeah.
awesome.
His idea started out of dorm students that have lighting issues. So.
Nice.
And Michael has an app. Maybe you'd
Yeah, I'm Michael. I'm kind of working around nutrition and lifestyle app.
Okay.
Leaning towards now more audience of like a tool for personal trainers and their clients almost.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, interesting.
It's like a financial aid firm, but focused on everything wrong with what the current solutions have to offer. So more of a learning type of aid too.
Interesting. One of the things that I will say that I've talked to some very successful people that have built and or bought and sold different businesses, right? And I will say that their turning point is understanding. One guy said, I was selling kitchen equipment, knives and all of that stuff. He says, I said, well, what was the turning point? He says, whenever I understood technology. And that was able to put everything on top of its head. And I think he exited for like 15 million. So when you're thinking about business, there are many different perspectives that you're going to hopefully understand as we go through this, and enable you to take a look at a different perspective than what you're doing now, and it's kind of know that you don't know, right? That's what we're getting into.
So when you say technology, we'll understand the definitions of that as you go through?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My name is Cooper. I'm working on a service that consults athletes and then kind of guides them towards what kind of performance coach they would need, such as like nutritionist, a psychologist, or like a physiologist, any sort of that.
Do you see that in an app?
Not yet. I haven't really thought about that part yet. If it's going to be like an app or a website or just kind of referrals, but
They're a lot in the same these days.
right.
But yeah, and there are metrics that people can get through smartwatches and wearables and things you can think of in that perspective, like what's the entry into market look like?
Yeah.
So cool. Rex, anything?
No, I'm good.
Excellent. So, a lot of this, again, I shared with the American Marketing Association, but these are some key milestones that I've been able to help my clients hit. For the highlights, lead and resource list worth more than $100 million in under 2 years. 25 to 85% revenue growth month to month. A lot of these, some of these are marketing, some of these are advertising. We'll understand that. That's anything that is paid, right? And so there are many different entry points into the markets and being able to connect with people to make the right decisions. Reduction in lead generation anxiety. That was a lot of people. They went from getting about 250 leads a year from these listing services. If we just switched over to Google Ads, we would have been able to, they were getting 7 cents on average per click, generating them about 250 leads a month. And so being able to understand how the markets work and what the ROI is whenever you are building your business and pricing things out. All of you will be pricing things out, and you're going to pay with either time or money. You're either going to pay someone to do it or you're going to do it yourself. So you need to figure out where you fit in within the life cycle of this product. Multilingual support technology, being able to, I have a client that deals in jet parts for private jets. So that is a very niche area, if you will. But their website is built in such a way where with one click, they can go from English to Spanish to Dutch. So having multi-language, it's not that you're selling, it's how you sell and being able to support your sales, especially whenever you're working in international markets. They may need to ship to Brazil, South America, Europe. That is the market. And then diverse solutions. I tell you what, one thing that people want is automation. They want automation, right? They want to make things a little easier on themselves, contact points. Automation is user-friendly these days. We have very unique ways of helping businesses connect with their audiences. And that way, a lot of information is already covered whenever you go to that key touch point and their knowledge base has improved. So contents, what we're going to go over: goals and objectives, historical influencers, how people are buying your goods and services, developing your social media calendar, startup mindset. That's probably where we're at come to kind of a key area in developing your startup mindset. So these are the key activities that you're thinking about while you're building your brand, your initial footprint, your footsteps. Goals for you, I think we already went over some of that. But historical influencers. So now it's like developing content. You can develop content strategies around these types of ways of thinking. So King Solomon had over 3,000 scribes, and he was the pioneer of your self-help. And he was able to create so much content. There are so many books because he had so many writers, right? And now we can leverage those types of AI generation and developing content to support whatever it is that you're doing. King David, known for writing psalms, poetry, and general reflections of events. So he was following up on different events. So whenever you're understanding your industry, one of the things we do whenever we're tracking events is getting feedback. We want to know how our industry is doing. So whenever you're tracking health tips, whenever you're tracking different hard products, what makes them superior to what you're doing? And so that way you then become this source of information. And then Jesus was the first one who said, follow me, right? And really what it comes down, whenever you're applying it, is adding value to your product. I remember whenever I was doing the Shark Tanks, I believe the one company was using recycled plastics to, as I kick a plastic box over here, and turning it into jewelry, right? So it's like, what do we have a surplus of that you can get your hands on and reshape into something beautiful? You know, sometimes it's something tangible, sometimes it's like what you know, your knowledge, and building out knowledge bases. And some of that building out your knowledge bases is being able to ask the right questions. And we're going to get to that. That's a critical piece of what I'm going to tell you to do as you reach out to your customers, potential customers, maybe industry leaders. Understand what people do in those markets. But how does my product add value based on those principles? So making right decisions. So this is CIA and defining how people are influenced. And they're influenced based on what I call the rice decisions. And these are my terms. But reward, ideology, coercion, and ego. And so reward, money, relief, support, and then ideology, or your key beliefs or understandings about certain things. Why am I buying a car? Well, maybe I just don't like how the seat feels, right? I need an SUV because they're easier to get in and out of. What are the reasons people are choosing X over Y? And then your coercion, all of these can be utilized in good ways and bad ways. Coercion, well, if you don't buy this, then you're probably still gonna have back pains because this car has the #1 rated lumbar support and yada yada yada, right? So it's not always a bad thing whenever you're trying to get what I call a no answer. No, I don't want that. Well, then you need X, Y, and Z. You've probably seen, a lot of commercials. If you understand how their messaging works, you start to understand how to piece things together in how to parrot your message. What works, right? Hey, that's really interesting. I wonder if I did this, could I get this? And some of it's testing. But it really comes down to, again, asking the right questions. And some people, ego, perception of the audience, right? And some people have a very important job. Maybe I'm working on a whole fleet of airplanes. And I'm in charge of making sure that everything's inspected, and so there's a high level of pressure in those areas where they certainly have a perception of how they operate, and they need things very quickly. Or you just need a hat or a convertible to look cool, right? But here comes the startup mindset, right? And asking the right questions can lead to greater rooms. So thinking at a high level about your product. And I'll kind of frame it this way. You don't buy a nail or a hammer because you need a hammer. You buy a hammer because you need a nail. Right? And that nail goes to that piece of wood that goes to that house on that block with that estate on that piece of land in that country on that planet. Taking the micro and the macro, understanding the macro as your tool plays within that industry, and understanding the validation points of where you fit, your product fits within that industry, and then working the micro, the key activities that you have to do in order to achieve the needs that are the things that are necessary within that market. And so, key activity number 1, group outreach. Messaging and posting in relevant Facebook groups and LinkedIn communities. They're out there. They're so critical, use them. If even things like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, they have legit communities of people that are looking to do what you're trying to do.
Those are easy to find.
Easy to find. You type something in your search bar and go to Facebook, for instance, and you can find different alumni associations. You can find different home builders, retail networks. They have their own. They are real people that do real things. And those that value even like posting and interacting and engaging on LinkedIn. People do a lot of networking on LinkedIn. I've talked to some really cool people on LinkedIn that are interesting, and they want you to be like. You should generally be interested in what they do to understand, like, maybe they're not they're in that industry, but maybe they're just not who you need to talk to. But they can sometimes point you into the different directions and make certain introductions for you to meet people that are in places that you want to be and where your product needs to hang.
So you join, or you just follow? What's the right? Maybe I'm asking questions these guys know. Maybe they use this all the time.
And a lot of businesses are made in the comments. When you start commenting on people's posts, and maybe they follow you, check you out, follow you, and you have a very unique opportunity in being a college student.
Oh, good.
Because more than anything, I hate cold calling. And however, if you're cold calling for permission as a college student, and I'm, doing, hey, I'm Travis from UPJ. We're looking for XYZ person in this area, and we're just looking to do a quick survey. Would you be the person that I would want to talk to? I just laid out this script for you. I just laid out the entire script for you. You're going to get a yes or no. Sorry, I'm not it. That's maybe someday you will be it. Or, you open up that door with a little bit of humor and lightheartedness and genuineness. Do you know who I'd be able to talk to? Frank, he'll be back in at 6. Do you know when he'll be working till? 6 to 10, or whatever that looks like. But now you have information, you have next steps. They seem like good people, and you make sure you get their name and you follow up, right? Back to the original, principles. Is you follow up, and so other platforms kind of covered that. But what is their source of business development? Where are they making decisions, right? Maybe it's not on that platform that you're talking about. Maybe it's somewhere else. So you have to validate where conversations are being had.
How do you find those other platforms? There's certain ways to search
You
for
can
that?
you can just Google different networking events, and find people that are in similar spaces.
So going back to the first,
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever, so you find a group that you're interested in,
Yep.
you sign up to join that, or you just start following, asking
you
questions?
follow the group. You follow the group, and you can even sometimes become an active member. But even posting in the group, where maybe you have a picture of yourself or whatever, or something. Adding pictures always adds a little bit more visibility. Even if you do videos, videos are critical right now. That's where most people are swiping. They're going through videos. I'm a video right now with all my going live on TikTok here. So the video aspect of social media, and now it becomes more open. It's a more open space. The wave of visibility is just through the roof right now, and asking questions, and you can do it very creatively. Even before I started being active on TikTok, I was using it as a video editor for my other platforms. So you can 10x your content by doing those, and some of the things that I go over here. But competition, understanding. Oh, you done with that?
Yeah,
Cover that? What is their source of business development? Where are they making decisions? Asking the right questions to get in those rooms. Competition, how are they getting clients? What's their message? How are you similar or different in product or service deliverables? And what are you planning? How are you planning to disrupt the market?
So this would be on the company website?
Do your competition research. There are some more digital tools that you can. Generally speaking, you could just go and Google. There's if you wanted more statistics nowadays, you can just go to. Let's not be stingy. Make it quick and easy. Go to an AI platform and start asking it questions about the industry as a whole. There are a handful of free ones out there that I'm sure that if you used some, went through some different business models, that it could build it out for you to a point where you could find holes in the competition, and ease of entry market distribution. So next is driving leads is get early adapter information. Serve the scratching that itch community, right? People are actively buying the product that you're selling. How? And why?
How do you find that, Travis? I'm not quite with you on this, driving weeds.
I mean, comes to, it also comes down to your forms. So you could potentially, if you're surveying people, or if you're, you can create a general survey for your product. I would recommend no more than 3 to 5 questions to validate how they fit into, or who they are, what they do, and how can you make it better. I know those are 3 easy questions, but whenever I was working with Autism Services Center, okay? Whenever I was working with Autism Services Center, okay? They had a few different audiences. So they had the child that they're serving, right? They're obviously not making the business decision, right? It's unfortunate that they have that need, but really it's the parents' need. But then there's also the actual caregiver, the person who's licensed to take care of that child. And then you also had the doctors, in order to, and these are all funnels. These are all supply funnels. You have the doctors that you can create relationships with. Hey, we're here, right? And so you can start tapping into those funnels. And then you also had schools, where now you have nurses that can work in either a facility, or B, go out to a specific school to run those programs as well. So you can see how the one thing can generate so many different touch points in different areas, right? So many different brand stories, so many different talking points. There's a different level of communication that I would have with a child than I would have with a school administrator, right? I mean, maybe in theory. But then launch party. What makes your first launch a success? They call it KPIs, key performance indices, however you want to say it. But identify 3 indicators that if you do X and Y happens, then Z is a success. This slide is a lot like drinking out of a fire hose, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a question, comment, or light bulb? Yeah.
I'll start. This is all new to me. So I'm just curious how it is for the students. You're familiar with some of this? All of it?
Some of it, all of it? Any connections that you're seeing?
I was planning on using social media as my main form of marketing.
Okay.
In mind, so that's the biggest one that popped out.
How?
Because it's going to be an app website type thing. Just getting it out mostly to, like, I want to say fitness influencers almost.
Okay.
So then they're like, if it's a fitness or health and lifestyle app and they're using it, they can start hopefully by word of mouth. That was my main plan through social media.
Okay.
Well, I'll stay with you, Michael, to look into competitions on those platforms out there. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I've had a couple. I've done a little bit of research on the competition. Most of it's pretty similar to mine. I'm hoping to make mine mostly cheaper and more convenient. That's kind of the goal.
So what makes it more convenient?
a lot of the current solutions have paywalls preventing you from getting to certain aspects and segments of their services, and then some of them don't include, like, one will be just a calorie tracker, one will be just like a weight tracker, and you'll have to subscribe to multiple. So my hope is to consolidate it all down into one and like remove the paywall type payments, essentially.
So that brings me to my next question is, how do you plan on funding it?
That I haven't gotten to.
So and that's really what it comes down to, is getting people so pumped up about your product that this one thing will change their lives. Because then, you know, your user experience within the app, it really comes down, and then there's thinking about that and how you're going to gamify the experience to where people want to use the app on a daily basis. So you know, again, seeing things at a high level, but working on them, and so seeing them at the macro, working the micro, and building. You know, it doesn't have to be everything, but that one thing has to be like really good. So, does that make sense? Anything that's popping off?
No, I mean a lot of what you said makes a lot of sense. Like TikTok is its own community. You know, like me being 22, I could reach more people just through effort on TikTok than like a newspaper ad could ever. You know, I could, you know, with the right content and the right, basically just the right content, you could reach tens of thousands of people in a
Right.
week. You know,
Yeah.
if not hundreds of thousands. You know.
Right. So, you know, again, it's like time and money. So, and getting on finding that niche that can drive the rest of, you can kind of ride that wave where, you know, like obviously with the autism services, there's an influx of people that need that help, right? And now they created essentially that relief valve in order to take the pressure off of the need for those services, right? And so that's kind of where you have to think about your product and the branding, the messaging, and then ultimately setting your own key performance indicators. You know, my goal is to have 1,000 views on this post. If I get that, then this happens. If I talk to 10 people through messaging, whatever that looks like, how will that impact? You know, it's usually 80-20 rule. 80% of those conversations may be flat, 20%. So you may have two that just, but then if you get really good, you can start identifying people quicker in your with your questions to identify, okay, is this a good fit for my product? Maybe it's very generalized, you know, but you know, scratching that itch, right? What's the itch that you're covering with your magnetic blinds?
Is it students aren't supported, I guess, by adequate like facilities in their room? Because I mean, I know from staying here on this campus, my freshman year, we had curtains, but they were white. So you know, you have a long night of studying, you have an exam in the morning, you just want to take a nap, but it was very hard to fall asleep. So we ended up like pinning up a.
You said it right there. Stop.
Yeah.
You're leveraging sleep.
Yeah. The pain of not getting enough.
That's how many people are in the United States?
A lot.
Approximately 330 million.
Yeah.
Okay. These are numbers that you should start memorizing, because now you're gonna start thinking about your target market and how big it is. Does everybody in this world sleep?
Yeah.
I would imagine so. At some point, you know, some people sleep during the day, you know, and that's real. We have nurses, doctors,
That's a good point, yeah.
you know, markets. These are markets. So what makes the most sense? Who needs these the most?
People who don't get enough sleep during the night or on night
But
shift.
then you start thinking about, you know, what do they do, right?
Mhm.
They are your doctors, they are your nurses, they are your students, they are your graveyard shift workers, right? So start thinking about, that's the macro, right? But now you're trying to figure out how you can serve those. And, you know, you work with some doctors and some sleep studies, and that can say, these are the best magnetic shades I've ever seen, right?
Yeah, it works perfect for apartments too, where you can't, you know, drill into the walls or
Yep.
over rooms. So.
You know, posting confidently. Approach with genuine curiosity. Genuineness is the highest vibration. So what is the problem you're solving, and what role do you have in solving it? And finding your, you know, and whenever you're doing this, is don't miss the opportunity to find your audience with your market research, right? Then reach your audience with your network development. And this is a side note, one of the programs that I really enjoy, and I was a part of at one point, is called Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a public speaking organization. One thing I will say about Toastmasters is everyone there is trying to get better at public speaking. And there's different types of speeches that you can start developing, but being able to talk about your product at a high level and concise level, being able to get your message across quickly is going to greatly benefit you. And hey, is this tool going to fix your problem? If not, maybe there's a tool that we can develop that can. And then strengthen your why. That's your, you know, why are you scratching that itch, right? And then overall industry benefit, supporting the greater good. There was an ad that I saw. It was one of my mentors. He was talking to me about it, and he said Patagonia had an ad, huge spread. I believe it was in, you know, maybe a Rolling Stone magazine or something like that. It said, "Don't buy this jacket. It produces more weight than what it's worth. It does, you know, all of these biocarbons and the whole." It says, "But we understand that, and we're working to do better in the industry to reduce our carbon footprint." That was the ad. They understood that people that buy Patagonia typically have a more earth conscious philosophy. So playing to that understanding, right? We talked about that in the beginning with making the race decisions. You know, they're playing to an ideology. And then creating audience depth with your key activities, things that you need to do on a daily basis to hit the next milestones.
That's the prior slide.
What's that?
The key activities were those were
Yeah.
on the prior slide.
Those
Okay.
the key activities.
Question, if I might interject. The challenge right here, one challenge is to get a good response to their surveys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that's gone for you. I know for Cooper, you had a pretty good response.
Like how many people responded to it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think I had 72.
That's pretty good all in all, I think. Well,
Yeah.
How did you get to them?
I just because I'm so deep into like what I'm doing is already like my service is already a part of my everyday life. So it's for athletes. I'm around these athletes that I would want to help every day anyway. So it's
So
only
they're people you knew?
yeah, it's just people that I know.
So it was like an email list almost, or
I just sent the link out to every college athlete that I know,
by email, or how did you?
When you make the survey, you just get a link, and it just goes right to the survey. So I just copied and pasted the link and just sent it to like the whole wrestling team. Basically.
Did you text it to them? Did you email? Did you send via
We have
Messenger?
a group chat on Snapchat.
Okay.
We have a group chat.
So that's where you went,
Yeah.
okay.
And then
Yeah.
people like that are high school athletes. I know a couple like professional MMA fighters. It's just a small community, so
Yeah.
and it's only like it was only like 8 questions, so they just did that with them for me.
Yeah.
But for you, Josh?
I got probably half of his responses. I posted it on Snapchat, which is social media. I didn't really get that many responses from that. Most of it was actually would walk around and give people my phone to have them do it on there.
Very good.
And I did send it out to some people too, like over Messenger.
Good.
I'm still working on finishing up my survey and trying to get it together a little bit better.
Okay, so you haven't sent it out?
No, but
Okay.
my goal is I have a buddy who's a Planet Fitness, or not Planet Fitness, personal trainer at a Crunch Fitness back home. So I'm gonna send it to him, see how many actual trainer responses I can get, and then send it to, or put it out on social media and see how many I can get and stuff like that.
Nice.
I'm at 20 right now.
And who did you send it out to, or?
So I sent it out to Greek Life on campus. So I sent it to sorority because they know that they live down on campus, and I sent it to some of the guys in my fraternity to kind of visualize like what their experiences are living on campus. I plan to send it out to more people. That's just what I have so far. But I've 10 men, 10 women right now. It's not done yet, but so far it's been good. I've gotten the response I've gotten.
So you'd use that same group to survey further, or do any one of these look more interesting to you?
I think I'm gonna try to. I think parents would also be a good one too. Like, I mean, I could probably make another one. Do you think your child's, getting enough sleep? Because I know my mom was definitely worried about my health when I was, a freshman on college. Like, how much sleep are you getting? Are you eating everything right?
Right, because, I mean, to be honest, you're a broke college student.
Yeah.
So if, a parent would buy it for their child, there's also a likeliness of them buying it for themselves.
Yeah.
If it works, and it's functional, and easy on the eye, right? Some can even be styled, in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one half a slot, or maybe you have expandables. Well, whatever that looks like, it can, that becomes your clay to work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the itch that it will scratch, right? What were some questions that you asked that were key identifiers as to like whether or not they were a client?
I asked like general questions like how you budget, and if you have a financial advisor, and I guess the best one for that would be, I asked, do you think it's necessary to have an advisor? And it was like, strongly agree, like that type of survey question. And it was mostly like strongly to agree.
Nice. What were some of the questions that you asked?
I did a couple like typical demographic questions just to understand exactly who the audience was that was answering, and then I wanted to just because I sent it out to either collegiate, professional, or amateur athletes, like high school athletes. So I wanted to see who that was. Like, are you professional, collegiate, amateur, or just not a competitive athlete at all? Then I wanted to see what is the biggest thing that they could do to enhance their performance. Like, do they experience like mental blocks, and when they're competing, do they feel like they lack nutritional advice? Like, are they kind of lost in their nutrition, or do they experience injuries a lot, like in season? That's a big one for wrestlers. It's pretty hard to stay healthy throughout the whole season. And then I did that one, and then I also wanted to get input on cost, so that would give me a better understanding of how valuable it actually is to them. You know, so I have an idea of what I would have to charge to even be profitable, but I wanted to see how much they were willing to pay, just because that would indicate like the importance of it to them.
Yep.
I think that was pretty much. There's a couple questions based off of cost, but that's pretty much it.
A driving force for a lot of apps like that are in the affiliate marketing model. Are you familiar with the affiliate marketers?
It's like influencers.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fancy way of saying influencers.
Yeah.
Paid influencers, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Or, you could also ask if they'd be interested in an NIL ownership partnership,
Okay.
where you could put aside a certain percentage of the company for investors that could potentially, so you got to think of, okay, what's your growth model, right? And being able to see if that's something that, maybe you open up 100 shares of 20% of the company, right? And then each person get a bucket. And then as that bucket grows, you can start paying them, and so that they would get a certain percentage of the, so they get paid, you get paid, and then a certain percentage of money goes back into the company for paying the bills, keeping the lights on.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be a good one for like community that I'm in, because it's such a small community. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Bo Bassett. He has hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. He's a high school wrestler, but it's such a small community that I go, like, me and him wrestle all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to become friends with people like that when you're in it.
His uncle's like one of my best friends.
Jack.
Yeah. Uncle Jack.
I know him.
Yeah, he good characters. I mean,
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, good people. So, do you have any ideas, some questions that?
Some of them are more general, like I asked in my interviews, like, have you ever used these kind of apps or services before, and stuff like that. And then one big one is like for the personal trainer specifically, it's like, do you have trouble connecting with your clients, especially the ones you meet like once a week? Do you have trouble like keeping track of progress and just stuff like that?
So who's your audience?
I was thinking about making 2 surveys because the personal trainer thing's more of a recent thought. It started as more of just a consolidation of all the like health and lifestyle type services that are online for just anybody who wanted to use it. So I was thinking, starting aiming at that with one like of the more general questions, and then I started thinking about it as like a tool for personal trainers to connect to their clients. Like, you can friend each other or whatever, and then like they can put their program in, and their client can follow it, and they can like keep track online.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now.
What makes yours different than his?
mine is less of a like consulting for athletes with like a nutritionist and stuff like that. It's more just an online service where they would.
I think ideologically, yours is more, while they could literally be the same app, yours is focused towards college athletes, yours is focused towards personal trainers. Ideologically. But then that comes down to branding, right? I mean, Flow Wrestling, you know, they do a great job.
Right.
You know, and then who becomes your audience? Maybe these different gyms that can pay you because you're an added service on. So, do you see how you can start developing who's your actual audience? Right. What kind of questions did you ask?
Basic demographic stuff, like do you live in college, like do you on campus housing. But my two like largest key informations would be towards the end I asked, would you purchase a blackout curtain for better sleep? Like would you think like it would enhance that? And so far I have 80% that said yes and then 15 said maybe. And right after that I asked how much money would you be willing to spend for such a product? And that was my key thing because I don't know how much to charge for this. The competitors are like $25, but my largest thing is kind of customization, like you make it your personal product, like because you don't want, you know, some generic print on there or like just a color. Some people want more than that to like kind of spice up their room a little bit, but I got around, my average was like $48. So that's kind of the average middle ground right there. I think
That's helpful.
yeah, that's like the sweet spot.
It's helpful. You know, I would ask, you know, if you did a next round of questions, which I think is great. You know, being able to send questions is a way to keep your key audience in your circle. You're now in a communication loop with them, so keep that loop going. I would ask, what would make them want to buy?
Like what would entice you to buy?
Right. The color, the ease of use. So you have to start thinking of traits to support your theory. So, and then that will help build out your brand story. Because now you're asking the what question. What will make them buy this? What will make them become an NIL partner? You know, what would be enticing about that? What would make a gym owner or a fitness instructor want to use your app? You know, and then you can target gym owners. Then you can say, you can ask, you know, would this be, if I did this, if I added this app full of online instructors, would you want, what would make you want to license this? Would that make you want to license this? This is an assumption that you're making. If X, then Y. So what would make them want to use your service? What is the itch that you're trying to scratch? Right? Is that helpful?
I'm not familiar with NIL.
Name and likeness.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah. So that is the, you know, now high school kids. I'm not sure from. Maybe it's 12. I'm not sure that there's an age gap, but there's, you know, children, kids, young adults can now have sponsorships. This is also a great opportunity. So these types of things that are college-based and college-focused and growth-minded can expand